We are back here in Dallas. I got a few ways into the city as Mike Griffith joins us here at the set. Mike, we haven't had that much of an opportunity to talk about the Dogs, but they are certainly everyone's pick, and you've been pretty much embedded with everything they've been doing all year. Just give us your top-tier view.
Well, I mean, it starts with Carson Beck, obviously. I mean, this is an NFL quarterback that's going to be playing in the collegiate ranks thanks to the NFL. And, you know, you look at Carson Beck, I like to say, here's a guy that can solve Rubik's Cube in under a minute and read a defense in 10 seconds. He's got a pretty good assortment of receivers, but I really think the key is going to be the running game. They got a 240-pound running back that you probably haven't heard of, Rod Robinson. He's going to move the pile. And Trevor Etienne, look for him to be the newcomer of the year, an X factor that can get the edge, go between the tackles, and catch the ball downfield. So it all sounds good. It's year 2 with Mike Bobo working with Carson Beck. And if you want to know what type of expectations year 2 brings with a coordinator and a quarterback working together, Stetson Bennett, Todd Monken went 15-0 just a couple of years ago in year 2. So I think a big jump for the offense. And as Kirby said this spring, time to let the cat go play.
A year ago, there were people being rather snarky about Mike Bobo. Do you feel like he put an end to all that?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people they're still talking about that. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, what do you want? I mean, he coached the winningest quarterback. Hey, listen, I could go down the resume, but they did a great job last year. They were 13-1 in his first year as the coordinator, calling plays with a first-year starting quarterback that had 3 years of rust. I think most importantly, when you look at coordinators, I think the relationship with the head coach is really important. And what type of trust do they have? I mean, Kirby, let's face it, I mean, he's known as a defensive guru, doesn't want his offense to beat themselves. But I think because he goes back so far with Bobo, he used to be called the Three Amigos. Ragoff was telling me him and Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart used to call these guys, or no, excuse me, the Three Musketeers. These guys were big buddies, and there's a lot of trust between these guys. And I think that trust enables Bobo to operate somewhat independently of Kirby and with a lot more trust and with a lot more freedom. And when you've got a guy like Carson Beck that could be starting in the NFL, I think this Georgia offense could be dynamic and certainly complex.
Talking to Mike Griffith here, people talk, that's all we talk about in the offseason is the schedule. But when you examine Georgia's schedule, we're not looking at it under conventional terms like this past season.
Sure.
What do you see?
Well, I mean, I see a challenger out of the gate with Clemson. I mean, I don't think that's going to be an easy game. I think Dabo Swinney is a really good coach, and last time these teams played, it was a touchdown game. But, you know, go right down the line, you can't overlook Kentucky. You're getting them early in the season when maybe the Wildcats are still fresh. I don't think they have championship depth, but you catch them early with Brock Vandegrift, a guy that could have easily been the Georgia starter. He's a talented guy, a great leader. Jamon Dumas-Johnson, just a couple years ago, he was at the heart of a championship defense at Georgia. Now he faces his old teammates. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Kalen DeBoer opens the SEC season against Georgia in Tuscaloosa. So you don't really get out of September without a lot of challenges. I don't think you can look too far ahead.
Talking to Mike Griffith, let's get beyond Georgia.
Yeah.
You make the rounds here. You pick up all kinds of stuff that we often don't get to regurgitate. What's hot in this building right now?
I mean, look, it's. I got to state I mean, Texas. I mean, it's been Texas since we arrived. It's been Texas all summer. Steve Sarkisian, slick. Right? I think he's the football version of Calipari. I mean, this guy's cool. I mean, nothing sticks to this guy. You look at his resume and where he's been. I mean, he's coached under Pete Carroll. He's been a head coach, coached under Saban. He knows the ins and outs, and I think he's very confident. And why wouldn't he be? You know, he's gone up against Kirby Smart before as a play caller, lit him up. Right? I mean, Steve Sarkisian offense is there. Like
this past
Tuscaloosa last year. What was somebody saying, Nick? He picked Texas and Georgia. Well, why wouldn't he? Texas kicked his butt in Tuscaloosa. He better pick Texas to finish time these teams play. Had Alabama. He couldn't beat them at home, nonetheless.
Here we go again. Saban's gone for. I mean, he's already retired. We're still. There goes Mike Griffith.
Well, I mean, it happened.
Who let the dogs out?
I mean, we can't pretend it didn't happen. Alabama was an embarrassment in Tuscaloosa last year against Texas. What can you say about it? I mean, Jalen Mills, they didn't know what plays to call for the guy. Oh, one of the best coaching jobs ever. We just don't know how to use him until halfway through the year. I mean, give me a break, Paul. I mean, let's be honest. Nick Saban is a Hall of Fame coach. He will never be equaled. But to say that last year was one of his best years is laughable when you look at some of the other seasons that this guy's had.
I didn't say that. I was just trying to understand why you were
Because my point
kicking
is,
Nick Saban.
Well, because he's such a great coach, it puts into perspective what Steve Sarkisian's done at Texas, because they win. Wasn't that the first non-conference game the Tide lost at home since like 2007 or something?
You act like I cover Alabama. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people that watch the show might suggest otherwise. But how could you not? I mean, look, we're talking about a 7-time national championship coach. How can we not be sitting here talking about Nick Saban when Nick Saban's not sitting here talking about Nick Saban? Because that's another thing that this week has been all about. And I love it. I love everyone paying, tribute to Nick Saban and all the great things he's done, when I still think he's going to come back and coach again before it's all said and done.
I knew we'd get to this point. I've been waiting for the fireworks to go off. So let's go back to what you said months ago here.
Yeah, months ago.
And for those who were not paying attention, elaborate.
Well, I just don't think a guy like Nick Saban is just ready for the quiet life. Look at how engaged he is.
The quiet life. He's done more interviews here today than Kalen DeBoer.
As well he should. But look at all the wisdom that this guy has. I mean, you listen to Nick Saban. You want to vote president for? Can he run? Is there another ticket we can have for Nick Saban?
Now, that's the best idea I've heard you come up with.
I'm not kidding. I mean, Nick Saban is a problem solver. Nick Saban is a football genius.
So let's quit obfuscating and get to what you said. When and where do you think he is going to come back and coach?
When we're somewhere that will pay him enough money that can guarantee him he can get the best players, which is what Steve Spurrier told us when we asked about how long will Saban coach. He said until he doesn't get the best players anymore. Well, you bring him back into a scenario where you can compete for players on a level playing field.
There will be good jobs opening every year that can easily afford Nick Saban, and I say that because nobody's going to have a hard time going to the president of whatever university and say, "Listen, I can get Nick Saban. Well, just go get him."
Well, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. He's going to be fantastic. We're all going to enjoy seeing Nick Saban on television, whether it's the SEC Network.
Get to my question. I mean, you are really stuck on this. Nick Saban is going to coach again, and I don't know anyone else who is on that track.
Well, I don't know. Well, tell me why he wouldn't. When you look at the talent and the experience and the championships, do you really think Nick Saban can just sit on the sideline? I mean, right now he's relevant because there's no games going on. But about halfway through the year, he's going to figure out the praise passed him by and the actions on the field. And I just don't think a competitor like Nick Saban, who still has it in him. I mean, you look at the guy. I mean, he's a fountain of youth. He's got the energy. He's got the knowledge. He's got the wisdom. You just give him the program. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go 100 in.
You're a student of history.
If I could hire a coach and Nick Saban is out there, I'm going to offer him whatever I can. If I'm North Carolina and I got Bank, I'm going to throw the bank at him.
Yeah, but Mike, be realistic.
Mike Brown.
Be realistic. There are not many. I mean, you really think if North Carolina made a change and Bubba Cunningham called Jimmy Sexton that Nick Saban would think about going to Chapel Hill for 2 seconds?
I'm probably a bad example, but give me a program. Maybe Ohio State loses again, right? And they say, you know what? What do we got to do? This Ryan Day guy, we got all this talent. We can't win the games we're supposed to win. Hey, here's an idea for you. Hire Nick Saban. You give Nick Saban Ohio State's roster, they probably win 3 championships in a row. I mean, really.
But I think it's as good of an idea as it may or may not be. I just can't wrap my arms around it. And I'm not trying to make too much out of the guy's age because I don't think it really matters.
Well, right now it doesn't. Okay, we're talking about 2024. I listen to Nick Saban. I watch Nick Saban. I say, this guy can still win football games. He won football games last year. I mean, he's one broken Jalen Milroe play.
He got apparently, according to you, he got beaten by Steve Sarkisian by quadruple digits.
He got beat by 10 points at home. But by the end of the year, he had Alabama playing like they should have been playing at the start of the year, and Georgia wasn't there to get in the way. So I really do believe, though, that.
Okay, you mentioned Ohio State before. I know we got to go here, but this is too interesting. Expand that a little bit because Ohio State's probably not going to make a change.
I don't know.
How many other programs do you think Nick Saban would consider? Because I don't think he'd consider any, but you do believe this.
I believe the potential is there. Now, you took me here. I just want to point this out. You took me down this road. All I'm saying is there's a lot worse coaches out there. Nick Saban.
You've been down this road.
You brought me back down the road. I don't think he's done, Paul. I'm listening to Saban. I'm listening to the wisdom. I'm listening to the advice. I'm hearing everybody pay tribute. They all want him to be done. They all want to believe that he's done. I'm just telling you, this guy can win more championships as a head coach. So, I just can't believe he's going to be content on the sideline.
We are 3 days into SEC Media Days, and this is now the biggest headline to come out of here. That Mike Griffith, a respected journalist, guy that's covered the league how long?
Are you betting against Nick Saban? Is that what you're talking about?
Just answer my question.
I don't know, 30 years.
Guy who's covered the league 30 years just said right here that Nick Saban is going to return to coaching. I mean, it's
at some point.
We need to interrupt the network programming. The rest of the. I mean, this is a big deal that you said that. And you believe it. You're just not popping off.
I don't believe the guy's done. Can't believe it.
Okay. We will revisit this. When we come back, we'll talk to somebody who actually has great command of his president. That is a general right there who I cannot wait to talk to the general about his decision to try to help lead the CFP into